Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, KLIXcast and Jill Skeen.
Good morning and welcome to Top Story. 7360300 is always the number to call. And good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Kelly.
And here I am looking for
my
stories. I thought I had
them.
Who
can work like this?
I thought I had them in my little pile here, and come to find out, I don't.
Here,
I don't know.
Class.
I don't know what happened.
Take my...
Oh, here they are. I just have some other stuff in the way.
And you can now see this on video, what Kelly's stuff is in the way. People can now see your stuff, Cal.
I just have stuff out of order is all.
If you move the camera to another direction, they could really see it.
Well, that ain't going to happen.
No, it's not, is it?
So, there you go.
Lucky me.
Yes. Good morning. And hey, it's Tuesday. It's a wet Tuesday morning.
Another wet Tuesday.
I, for the first time in 2 or 3 months, I wore a jacket this morning.
Oh my gosh, I take a jacket anywhere I go.
I know
Air
you
conditioning.
Do. I know you do. Yeah.
But you know what? I'm not cold.
Now you have a sweater on, nice yellow sweater on.
I have a sweater on because it's cold.
I would be very hot if I were wearing a sweater right now.
Well, what can I say? Maybe you're going through menopause.
You know, I do have hot flashes every once in a while.
They all call it, I think for men it's andropause or something. So yeah, there are things, men do go through it as well. They start to lose their testosterone. They start having problems. They have hot sweats. They have anxiety, insomnia, grumpiness.
I don't have insomnia.
Depression.
I don't have a problem with insomnia right now.
Depression, sad, moody.
I'm not moody.
I'll stop.
Okay?
Okay. Anyway, but there is such a thing as that.
Yeah, I guess there is. Coming up at 8:30, we have Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans. He's our only guest today.
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock, I want to go over a story that I found this morning. Now, the story is 2 years old. It was 2 years ago this month. It came out at Forbes.com. There is a book out, and I have all the information here. I want to go through that story very slowly, but the article is by Adam Hartung from Forbes.com. The name of the heading on the story is "Want a Better Economy? History Says Vote Democrat." This is about a book that was written here a couple of years ago, and it goes over the past 80 years of the American economy. And talks about the administrations that were in charge and how the economy fared during those times.
You can also go to the state of Kansas right now. They're having a financial meltdown because of Governor Brownback and his policies. And actually, John Alexander touched on that today in his opinion or his column about it as well. But you can go. Well, it's true. Go look at Kansas. They're having a financial meltdown.
I understand that, but I mean. Please believe me, I am not abandoning my conservative roots. No way. But it is an interesting article, and I just want to bring this information forward that's in this book. In fact, I'm thinking about getting the book and just go over about what the economy has been like over the last 80 years under Democrat and Republican administrations, and it may surprise you. All right, so there you go. That's coming up at 9 o'clock. The news here in the Magic Valley. Last night, 2 more pharmacy robberies in Twin Falls. Walgreens on Blue Lakes and Kmart on East Addison. Details at this time are very, very sketchy. About all we know is there were 2 robberies, and that's about it. We don't know what the person was like, if they had a weapon, what they looked like, or anything, if they left on foot or in a car. We don't know that yet. That hasn't been released.
Is Walgreens open 24 hours?
I believe so, yes.
Is Kmart?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
But it happened around 8 or 8:30 last night, I guess.
Which is the last time it happened at Walgreens. It was around the same time. Remember?
Yeah, and that was the one on Pole Line.
With the little money marks on his white hoodie. Although they called it a pullover, but it was a hoodie.
So anyway, be careful out there, folks. And
go to the pharmacies during the day.
It's like, how many pharmacies have we had robbed here in the last year? It's been several.
Well, also Jerome has had, they said what? They've had burglaries in homes,
That's
but
right.
Have they had any pharmacies robbed as well? I don't know.
I don't think there have been any pharmacies robbed in the Jerome area, but there have been houses robbed in the southwest and southeast areas from Jerome.
Yeah.
Apparently, someone will come to the door and knock or ring the doorbell, and if someone answers the door, they will ask for someone who doesn't live there. Mm-hmm. And then they'll be told, no, they're not here, so then they leave. But if nobody answers, then they make entry into the house, either going through an unlocked door or forcing their way in.
Yeah, some people just leave their doors unlocked. Well, that'll be interesting. If someone comes to your door and they ask for your name, call the police.
Yeah,
because you know they're
the
burglars.
Absolutely. I mean, I cannot describe my disdain for these low-life pieces of garbage who do this, who steal from other people. And I don't know if it's because of drugs or if they are just evil or what it is, but it's too bad that we have these subhuman species that will prey on innocent people. It just disgusts me to no end.
Well, I wonder if the pharmacy, was it money or was it drugs? Do they know what they robbed?
We don't know on the last two.
Yeah.
But
yeah, when, drugs are always a factor in everything, even in robberies as well. You need money for drugs.
Yes, you need money, or you can just get drugs. I mean, you go to the pharmacy, you ask for both, I guess. I don't know.
I guess so.
Hand them a note, and they comply. I don't know. I kind of have a problem with that.
Well, when you work in a pharmacy, then you can judge exactly how you would act.
But I mean, it just seems like it's too easy, and they just let it happen. I don't know what the answer is, because I know that it's not worth putting your life on the line for a bottle of pills or an amount of money. But doggone it, maybe they should have security guards. Armed security guards.
Maybe they
should to kill.
Maybe they should. When you see a security guard, chances are you don't go into that store. That's usually what happens. But I did see a report.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to get robbed. You have a security guard who's armed. But the other thing too is that I saw some study yesterday that people that are prescribed opiates, like say you have surgery, like OxyContin, they'll give you OxyContin, whatever, that they might be prescribed for, I don't know, 3 months or something on it. These people are still on it 5 years later.
Yeah.
These are highly addictive drugs.
Yeah.
Highly addictive drugs. And I had a friend who they put her on that. She had a surgery, I think 2 or 3 weeks, ended up getting addicted, had to go to rehab. I mean, this stuff is serious stuff. You have to wonder, the war on drugs, really. Yeah, these are legal drugs, but I think more people are addicted to those than the other drugs. And then you think, okay, of course they're going to go to pharmacies because that's the only place you get it.
So
if you don't get it from your doctor
what
anymore.
What is the addictive part? If you stop taking them, you start hurting again?
Well, it's like opium, I think. They're opiates.
So if you stop taking them, you have reactions?
Like heroin, stuff like that. Yeah, of course, you're addicted.
That's interesting.
But, you have to wonder, where's the war on drugs? And you think how many people, honestly, you'd have to question if you want to take those drugs to start with after surgery,
Well, yeah, but you've got to take something.
Well,
okay,
for pain. Maybe some extra strength Tylenol, something. But you know what? Those things are addictive, and you have to. And I saw a whole story on it. It's kind of scary, really, about. The drug industry is a little scary. Scary.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
And the FDA, they're in bed with big pharma, and it's not good.
Things are just getting scary, aren't they?
Well, you wonder. Scary then people get desperate, and then they rob pharmacies because they're addicted to this stuff.
Yeah. Okay, moving along here.
How's that? We got distracted.
This week's data breach is brought to you by SuperValue and Albertsons. Every week now, I'm going to be seeking these out, because every week, at least, we have found another data breach.
The data breach of the week. Should we have that sponsored by someone?
I think that's great. Yeah. Brought to you by Internet Security people.
Is sales listening? What a genius idea.
Card data of SuperValue and Albertsons shoppers may be at risk in another hack, the two supermarket companies said Monday. The companies said that in late August or early September, malicious software was installed on networks that process credit and debit card transactions at some of their stores. Albertsons said the malware may have captured data, including account numbers, card expiration dates, and the names of cardholders at stores in more than a dozen states. SuperValue said the malware was installed on a network that processes card transactions at several chains, but it believes data was only taken from certain checkout lanes at 4 Cub Foods stores in Minnesota. Now, it says that the breach affected Albertsons stores in several states, including Idaho. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that includes the local store or not. I don't know.
They say they have 1,081 stores, Albertsons does.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stores.
So at any rate, there you go. Another data breach. So I asked the question again, are you ready to go back to cash yet?
It makes you definitely concerned. And the other thing, too, is if a store has a data breach, does it deter you from going there? Some people would say, oh, they're the safest ever. But then you have to wonder, I don't know. I think twice now on some of those stores. I really do.
I totally agree. I totally agree because I think there's something to the fact that, well, they're probably safer now than they ever have been.
So they say if a plane goes down a certain type, you're like, wow, it's the most checked plane there is. But do you I don't know. I really do. I'm concerned about it. All of it is disconcerting because it just seems like they're just. It's just traveling around.
The problem, from what I understand after reading a little bit about this, is that in the United States, we still have the old magnetic stripe on the back of the credit cards. In the European countries, they don't have this problem because they have a different system where in fact, I guess even the debit cards are a little bit safer where you have to enter a PIN number. I don't know. But something's got to be done because this is just going to do nothing to get worse.
Why haven't we adopted the little microchip technology yet then? I mean, obviously this has been going on. Target had a huge breach last year. Now Home Depot. Now was it SuperValue? Albertsons. You're right. What's the data breach?
Well, every week there's something.
Yeah. Jimmy John's. We got Jimmy John's on the list.
Jimmy John's was on there. I mean, that's just in the last 4 weeks that we've talked about. So it's going to do nothing but get worse. So we've got to do something. If it's too expensive for the credit cards to change the technology, then maybe they should question whether they should be in the business, because how much is it costing them when there is a data breach, for crying out loud?
Oh, I know.
It's hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes.
I know.
Ask Target how much it costs for a data breach. So there you go. We got more news coming up here on Top Story. There's trouble in paradise in China, apparently. We'll be right back on Top Story. 736-0300. 736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. We have a caller coming up here, but I wanted to mention first that, again, with the water and the rain that has been falling from the sky, a low-end honey loader might be closer to your life than you think, especially if you have a large feedlot or dairy. The low-end honey loader from Stanley & Company can load all types of manure, from frozen to dry, and here lately, liquid probably is going to be what most of it is. So if you'd like to see one of these in operation, you can call Pat Hartzell at 280-1167. But this low-end honey loader, I mean, if you got manure issues on your feedlot, this can eliminate them. It can take the manure and take it from point A and put it on point B. So you don't have that problem anymore. So give him a call, 280-1167. That's Pat Hartzell. He can arrange it so you can see one of these in operation, or he can sell you one.
That's how easy it is.
It's up to you, buddy. He's ready to go. He's got the contract already.
That's it.
So Pat's number again, 280-1167 with Stanley & Company. We got a caller. Top Story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I got some information. I'm one of these card holders that was compromised.
Oh, no.
Oh, lucky you.
Actually, it's not near as bad as the horror stories that you hear. We do business with a local bank here in town, and a month ago I was in Gresham, Oregon, and used my card in Albertsons, and transaction went fine, and we received a letter about a week later after returning home telling us that our card had been compromised. And the bank said to go ahead and continue using it. They were aware of the situation and sent us a new card in the mail and deactivated the account as of yesterday. They went ahead and let it run to the end of the month. And then we went into the bank as of yesterday to kind of discuss this matter. and informed us that they will be going to those microchipped cards in, I believe, 2015.
Okay, so next year then.
Exactly. And if the banks, say you have a Visa and the bank that you're dealing with refuses or does not go to the newer card, then if there's a compromise, the bank itself will be held responsible and not, say, Visa or MasterCard.
Okay, all right.
Who's held responsible now? Like we were talking about it. Is it the credit card company?
Well, my particular bank that I deal with, and I wasn't even aware of this, that if there was a problem with my card, say somebody tapped my account and withdrew a bunch of money, which with my account they don't have to really worry about that. But,
they hit the wrong account, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
But the bank would cover those charges.
Okay.
So, but we did go ahead and sign up. We're paying $10 a month now to have it's a system that they have, but it covers all of my cards now. So it's really getting quite scary because you read about it, you hear about it, and I'm always assuming it was more like PayPal and things like that. But after it happened to us, I was just blown away at how easy it.
Oh, I know, and happened. In fact, I think PayPal is probably one of the more secure ways.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of finding out. I'm kind of digging into this now.
I know. I'm thinking about getting a PayPal card.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm surprised they let the card continue through the end of the month. Were any more charges put on it?
No, they basically, it was more, it sounded like it was just a hack as far as I couldn't really understand if they thought it was just somebody tapped the system, like if they were just kind of feeling around to see how far they could get with it. But they really weren't like up in arms about it. They're like, yeah, it happens. They told us it happens all the time. So
yeah. See, that's my point. So you were going to have to do something. It's going to do nothing but get worse because the next person who hacks his way into that is probably going to have evil on his mind or her mind.
Well, that's kind of what I'm.
So.
And she was telling us that the newer card with this microchip, I guess it's a pretty secure system. Like you said earlier, that all of Europe, I guess, uses this new system.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I'm kind of surprised.
It's a little heavier card, too.
It is heavier.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, hey, thanks for that. I appreciate the input.
Okay, you have a good day.
All right, you too. Well, there you go.
Well, now we got an inside scoop.
Help. The cavalry is coming, maybe.
We have the best callers in the world. They always call in and let us know stuff.
Yeah, that was interesting. But, something's got to be done because it's just going to do nothing but get worse.
Oh, yeah. And as more thing goes online with your little iPhone 6 with everything online on your phone. I was like, what could go wrong? Because no one loses their phone, right? Like, oh my gosh. And now they're bending. So now you get everything on your phone. No, I'm sorry, but I still have an address book at home. I still have things like this.
And Chris Anderson from CSI still has his day planner that he carries
my
around.
computer breaks down. I can't get the internet all the time. So why would I rely on that for appointments and things like that?
It's I said, technology is going to save us and it's going to kill us. Yeah, it's both ways.
I know it.
So that's just the way it is.
Anyway, be careful, people. Yeah. Use cash.
We do have some more news, but coming up, we're going to talk to Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans in the next hour. We're going to talk about which party has done better for the economy over the past 80 years, at least according to a book that is out that was reviewed by Adam Harting with Forbes. That's coming up next hour here on Top Story, and the result of their study might surprise you. 7360300 is the number to call this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. A little bit rainy this morning. It's kind of tough for the farmers who still have crops they need to get in. But boy, once again, my grass is looking really good at the house.
Fabulous. I know.
Hey, speaking of that and speaking of irrigation, and we've got Steve Millington coming up with the Twin Falls Republicans, but Infrared Baron believes that comprehensive imaging service should start with low-cost, high-frequency flights. What in the world does that mean? That means they fly over your fields. They take pictures with infrared photography. They can take those images. They can get them on your computer. You can take a look and see how your field is doing under your irrigation system. You can then take steps to make modifications, maybe do some maintenance on your sprinkler system. You might be surprised of the areas in your field that are too dry, even though they might look wet from just the naked eye. Or they might be some areas that are getting too wet. So with infrared barren, you can see this and you can take steps to fix it, which will increase your yield, which will more than pay for the cost of the overflights of your field. This is new technology for agriculture, ladies and gentlemen. Do not ignore it. Get a hold of them at Far More of Idaho at 324-3341, and they can tell you all about infrared barren. It's time you did it.
The Democrats' secular progressive move, political correctness is killing us too. They want to take the money from the hard-working man and give it to the lazy folks that don't give a damn. Democrats and liberals, shame on you. Don't punish us all, just to please a few. You're holding people back while we're picking up the slack, and that's why we can't vote for a Democrat. Oh, no.
And welcome to Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Nice to have you here.
Here we go.
Are you ready for this?
As ready as I'm ever going to be, I guess.
Well, each morning, or each Tuesday morning, we prepare a list of questions. And we went through this morning and thought, you know what? Hey, let's just dig into it and see what there is.
I kind of noticed that you really unloaded on me this morning.
No, I wasn't unloading on you. I was just, this is kind of the stuff that what would be the better word to say? Anti-otter folks might talk about. And this gives you a chance to kind of give the Republican side of the story.
Defend the record.
When you look at the overall situation in the last few years, Idaho has dropped on the wage scale with nearly the highest number of any state workers working for minimum wage. We have more kids not going to college. We have a lot of school districts going to a 4-day week to try to save money. We have more school districts trying to pass supplemental levies. Idaho's median income for individuals and women is the lowest in the nation. And Democrats can make the case that things are getting worse instead of better. So what's the GOP side?
Try to defend the record.
Well, you know, the interesting part about all of that is that Idaho we're kind of counter-cyclical to a lot of things. Very often when we have economic disruption, recessions, Idaho is one of the latest or last states to enter it. We are also one of the last to emerge on the other side of the economic recession. So we find ourselves a little bit behind the curve with a lot of the other economic data that's coming out. We do have there's 2 or 3 things that bother me like they bother everyone, and that is the number of kids that are not going to college. Mm-hmm. That really bothers me a lot. And frankly, I don't know. We've got to convince parents that their kids need to have additional training, education, or skill instructions in order to compete satisfactorily in this new world.
Isn't like 1 out of 12 who don't finish, or 1 out of 12 graduates from college?
I think it was closer to 1 out of 10.
Either way, that's not very good.
It's not a huge number. Now,
yeah, one.
The objective was that they wanted to double the amount of college graduates in the state of Idaho by 2020. That's a pretty aggressive approach. You know, it takes 4 to 5 years to get out of college, and this is 2014, 15's right around the corner. You got to just be in college and going. And the other thing that's, why is it so many kids do not think that, and when we say college, let's broaden that definition just a little bit and include trade schools, professional schools, technical schools, apprenticeships. You know, get some additional training so that you're not stuck in a low-income career.
Or is it because we have so many minimum wage jobs here, they don't really need training, they can get a job anywhere?
And they fall into the trap that, hey, I'm going to be just fine doing thus and thus job, and they never take the opportunity to go back and increase their skill set. You've got to have a really good set of tools in your toolbox in order to compete in today's world.
One of the other things you can think about this during the break is the cost of college today.
That's expensive.
Maybe it's that the parents or the kids themselves just can't afford to go to college. It's one of the things that I'm wondering about. We'll talk about that next year on Top Story.
No.
7360300, the number to call. Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans, our guest this morning here on Top Story. And before the break, we were talking about some of the reasons why Idaho seems to be kind of down in the doldrums when it comes to education and kids going to college and such. And one of the things that I don't think in the past really has been brought up much in the conversation is the cost of a college education. Now, I don't know how much it costs to attend University of Idaho or Idaho State or BSU or anything like that. But I do know that the cost of a college education seems to be much higher than it used to be, even ratio-wise to income.
That's right.
But is that something that maybe for some reason we've been ignoring that, and it needs to be brought in, and so in other words, maybe it's not all the Republicans' fault, Maybe
I think many people are looking at college costs, and they're saying to themselves, "Holy cow, this is over the top here. I don't have that kind of money. I simply can't afford to go to college, nor can my parents afford to pick up the cost of going to college." And so they decide not to go. Well, I'll go next year. I'm going to work for a little while and get some money, and then I'll go back next year. And next year never shows up.
But you know what? Then why did the Republicans, they either blocked or voted it down, the chance to refinance all those student loans for kids? You can refinance your car. You can refinance your house. You cannot refinance your student loan. That bill was before Congress, and that was either blocked, not brought to a vote, or voted down by the Republicans in the House. I'm sorry, we have to help our kids that already have student loans. And also, we also have CSI that's local, and you know what? That's way more affordable than, colleges outside of the state.
One of the things, if I understand, somebody might have to help me with this. I understand that if you have a big student loan, and you make interest-only payments for a specified number of years, 15 or 18 years, that the principal portion of your loan will be forgiven. The Obama administration proposed that, and if I remember right, it was an executive order, so they don't have to go to Congress on that one. Because 2 or 3 people told me, well, criminy, I'm just going to go get all the student debt I can, and I can pay the cheap interest, and in X many years, they'll just forgive the whole thing.
But their interest is higher.
And I'm thinking to myself, Judas Priest, that's stupid.
But frankly, we're talking about high school kids right now who don't have a college
that kind of debt.
Yeah.
Now, I read an article just this past week that said, and he was challenging the costs of higher education, and he said college costs today are 4 times what they were when I went to college. And had a photo of him, and I'm sure they had photo-opped it so he looked real good. And I thought to myself, well, he's not that old. But he said, here's the interesting thing. In the last 6 years, the median income in the United States has gone down $5,000 a year. So it's costed me 4 times as much money to get an education, and my earning capacity when I get done has decreased. Yeah. And he said, how do we get kids convinced that they need to make this kind of investment in themselves when the return doesn't seem to be quite comparable? And he said, well, this has got to change. We've got to, and one of his things was where college education is way too expensive. We need to push it down. And one of the comments that he made in concerning that particular thing was, every time they increase either Pell Grants or student loan amounts, all college tuition costs go up. And he said, cut them all back down, and tuition costs will have to come back down.
Well, since we're like the second highest state with the second highest minimum wage workers in the state, I mean, why not raise the minimum wage, which is another thing that's on this list. Our wage scales are some of the lowest. And everyone is against raising the minimum wage when it's obviously there is a minimum wage.
Well, a minimum wage is a entry point, a starting point. It is not the end game. That is
not true by the statistics.
That's a point where people begin their work career. We see lots of high school age kids or younger people start at that level, and if they are comfortable at that wage, that's all they make. If they're not comfortable, they'll find a way to increase their earning capacity so that they can move up the chain and get to a higher level of performance. Go to the mall. They've got all these signs out there. We're looking for holiday help. There's very few of them that are paying minimum wage. Most of them are starting at the 8.5 range and moving up from there.
Yeah.
So why not raise it though for the state?
The people who are going to be most disadvantaged are going to be the high school, the younger kids that need to be in the workforce so that they can increase their work skill, hone that little advantage they have. So I have worked here, and people will say, yeah, okay, you did work there. That's good. Let's go from here.
Let's go to the phone. Your top story. You're on the air with Steve Millington.
Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
Bill and Steve.
Hi.
Good morning.
I really find it interesting. One thing is that I think parents are not motivated enough to help make sure that their kids are thinking about college early on. We started working and putting money back for my daughter to go to college when she was 9 years old. Saved, did other things, and at the time I was only working part-time. I worked 2 different part-time jobs, and we still managed to save, and she graduated from college and her master's debt-free and finished her doctorate a few years ago.
Wow. Good
for you.
Okay.
And the last time I worked minimum wage, and this is going to tell my age, was when I was hoeing and thinning beets.
Wow. That has been a while, because I don't think they have hoers and thinners anymore.
Oh, no, not even. But, I made sure that isn't what I wanted to do, and I had to laugh. My little brother didn't think he wanted to go to college. He was a big, stout kid, and he was making good money, and then he decided he didn't want to throw hundreds in a warehouse when he was 60 years old, so he went back to school.
Yeah.
He graduated, got his master's, and is working elsewhere. Part of it is parental motivation, part of it's student motivation, and I never intended a minimum wage job to take care of me the rest of my life.
Well, I have a question while we have you here. What kinds of things can parents do in a proactive sense to increase the motivation level in high school aged or pre-high school children to incentivize them to go on and get additional training?
One thing, it has to be pre-high school.
Yeah.
I don't think you can wait till somebody's a freshman in high school.
Okay.
And it has to be a priority. And one of the things that we talked about it from early on, what do you want to do? What kind of things are you interested in? Well, what do you think that you would like to learn so you can do X, Y, or Z?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents, there was no if you're going to college, it's when you're going to college. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sorry, but maybe parents that haven't gone to college, maybe they don't put the importance on it. But there was never a question. We always talked about that. There was never a thought in my mind I wouldn't go to college.
You know what bothers me?
Me?
And I thank the caller. You know what bothers me when I talk to kids today who are in high school and ask them what they're interested in or what they want to be when they grow up. They have not a clue.
They can't tell you.
That's right. They have no hobbies other than texting and playing around on video games, know.
The question goes clear over their heads.
Yeah, I know, and that's bothersome to me. It really is.
But the disturbing part, though, of all this, and I find it quite disturbing, is 59% of our high school kids that go to college have to take remedial classes. So what are we doing in our high schools that's not preparing them to take classes?
I think that goes back to our caller's comments. These kids need to be addressing these issues before they get to high school. Look, we want you to go on to college. We want you to get additional education, and they will work harder to prepare themselves. The ones who are taking all these remedial classes are the ones who just coasted through high school and then decided, well, I think I'll go to college.
See, and I don't even know how they get. I don't know how they get into college at that point, because I remember taking the ACT, and you had to hit a certain number to get into the college that you wanted. And the thing that bothers me too is that the state is paying for every student in high school, every single one, to take an SAT. Not every kid is going to college. Why are we spending that money for kids? Every kid to take an SAT. Do you have any answers to that? Because that came from this administration.
Well, I don't know that I have the answer, but I think one of the answers is that it could be an incentive to tell kids, okay, we're going to pay for these SAT tests or ACT tests and encourage you to go on to school. Another thing that does is that allows the state to build some kind of a baseline for evaluating which direction are we progressing? We're making positive motion here in the process to get kids better test scores.
We have another caller. Top story. You're on the air with Steve Millington.
Man, I could go on for hours on this. I'm glad you're using the word incentive, because now this is just a poor dumb farmer truck driver's opinion, but if we still had minimum wage as a introductory wage to the workforce at like $3.50, that would give them an incentive to want a better paying job. But the Democrats want to raise the wage so that it's a living wage, so that everybody that's on it can just stay in that hole instead of getting out. And the Democrats are making sure that they have cell phones and that their rent is subsidized, and by golly, we're going to take care of you from birth to death. And there is no incentive. How many kids in that high school today have parents or a parent that is on welfare, and that's the only thing they know?
But
that's an interesting point. There is a lot of thought out there in the world that says that one of the things that the entitlement society has done is disincentivize people from achieving.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question.
And the caller is right on. The previous caller, the woman that called about getting herself educated and her daughter clear through a doctorate program, I think she said, debt-free. I'm embarrassed. My kids didn't have quite that advantage, but you have to see to it that they understand there is a great self-worth, a great self-value in being able to stand on your own 2 feet and look the world straight in the face and say, the Lord blessed me in many ways. I had good parents. I had good teachers. I had good friends. I have had good opportunities from society, and I have accomplished some things. I'm going to pass that on to the next generation. And we don't have that, the greatest generation, that book Tom Brokaw wrote, about that.
Yes.
One of the things that they did better than any generation that made them perhaps the greatest was that they incentivized the generation behind them. And somehow we have lost that incentive, that desire to see to it that the generation coming behind us has at least as good as opportunity, if not better opportunity, than any of us had. That's how we make the world a better place. That's how we make our country the best place. That's how we make our communities great and our families great. That's how we continue.
That's fine. But you know what? There are people that, without those companies and these minimum wage workers, they aren't going to have a workforce. But my problem is you have companies that are paying their people not a livable wage, where they're then having to get food stamps. They're then having to get government assistance, and we're supplementing their workforce. For anyone to live on $15,080 a year and be able to support themselves, and 60% are women. And it's not just teenagers. This isn't just an entry level. They go back to school. Who's working 9 to 5 when they're in school? You need those workforces. But I think as a country, it's shameful that we're paying $7.25 an hour? Are you kidding me?
But if we had the motivation to better ourselves and leave those jobs, then the employers would have no choice but to raise the pay
wages
to keep people there.
That's exactly right.
So
and there's only so many management jobs, and if you don't have a high school, if you only have a high school education,
you don't have to have
that's
a management job to make good money.
Well, you keep saying moving up.
Well,
you
fine.
need those minimum wage workers for their workforce.
Move into a situation where that you become a lead person, or you could still be on the production line and get out of the lowest level of wage performance. You can move up that progression, that ladder, if you will, and reach the point where you're making a very comfortable wage.
Thanks, Steve. We're out of time. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk about over the past 80 years which political party has fared better for the economy. It's going to be an interesting story, and we'll talk about it here. Thanks, Steve. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Steve.
This is Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX. Well, welcome back to Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call. I don't know if it's still raining or not.
It still looks a little gloomy out. I don't know if there were actual drops. It's gloomy.
Just gloomy.
I don't know, but don't take my word because I just was in and out, you know.
But the ground is wet.
It still looks
from earlier this morning.
Still looks moist out, yes, and gloomy.
And it's 54 right now. So
it's so cold and gloomy.
And the leaves on the trees are changing.
Oh.
So I was just looking in my backyard yesterday, and I have some trees that are, you know.
That is the one thing I miss about New England, I have to say. They call it foliage. Foliage. They don't call the leaves changing, but and they have foliage reports of where the leaves are changing. And also, there were so many trees. When Tom goes back there, he gets claustrophobic. I miss the trees.
I can understand that.
Because I grew up in Ohio. There were more trees, and, I miss the trees. And sometimes, honestly, when I worked at Reebok, I would be watching the trees so much, the colors, because they were just unbelievable colors you ever saw in your life. I would miss my exit many times where I'd have to go and take the next exit and whip around. I'm like,
oh, no kidding.
Because, you were just mesmerized. I never saw, Ohio, we didn't have colors like that, but New England, most amazing colors in the world are trees.
I've never been there, so.
Trees everywhere.
Oh, I know that, yeah. I've been to North Carolina and Washington, D.C.
Beautiful colors.
And I know there are trees. I was actually surprised. You expect to see buildings and asphalt everywhere.
No.
But you don't. You see trees there. It's really beautiful back there.
That's why they go to New England in the fall to look at the foliage.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
At any rate, we do have a couple of news items wanted to at least tell you about before we get started on this other story here. First of all, Secret Service Director Julia Pearson is facing questions about how an armed intruder jumped the White House fence and made it as far as the East Room, as she testifies before a House committee this morning, and those hearings are going on right now. Apparently, Omar Gonzalez overpowered a Secret Service officer in that September 19th incident. This led to a struggle and wrestling inside the executive mansion as he darted through.
Yeah.
Gonzalez was eventually tackled by a counter-assault agent in the East Room after he reached the doorway to the Green Room, a parlor overlooking the South Lawn. So he actually got into the White House, into some of the rooms, and I guess on the second floor.
Well, yeah.
If he'd have been wearing a suicide vest or something, it would have been all over.
Yeah, I mean, he could have easily gotten into their personal residence, and they just left 4 minutes earlier.
Yeah,
4 minutes earlier. And you have to wonder what is going on. How could you not protect our president?
So Julia Pearson is on the hot seat this morning, and apparently there have been like 1,000 breaches in the Secret Service over the last few years.
Well, that's
serious stuff.
They said the one in 2011, the person who was shooting at the White House, the Secret Service didn't know for 4 days. It was a maid who discovered the broken glass, and then they found the bullet shells. Like, you don't know.
That was the guy from Idaho.
Yeah. Way to go, Idaho guy. But you don't know for 4 days. Michelle was there, I guess, by herself. Like, President Obama was on some trip, but,
he's probably golfing.
They had for gosh sakes. But yeah, can you imagine? You're there.
Yeah.
Someone's just running in. And this guy had a knife. Who knows if he ran into the president or the girls or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have just gone. He just could have gone up the stairs and been in their area.
This could be. I don't know. This could mean her job, I suppose. I mean, if stuff like this is going on. I mean, this is stuff you
how
don't
long
really
has
get
she
a second
been the
chance
director
at.
now? Was it after the hooker gate? They put her in charge?
Yeah.
So they didn't think she'd
so.
actually be with hookers, so I don't know.
So there you go. And in Hong Kong, Hong Kong's chief executive urged pro-democracy protesters to stop their campaign immediately after demonstrators gave the Chinese government a Wednesday deadline to meet their demands for political reforms. Leung Chun-ying said that Beijing would not reverse its earlier decision to hand-pick eligible candidates to lead the former British colony, which became part of China in 1997.
But part of that agreement when they got Hong Kong was that they were allowed to pick their own candidates. So they are violating that agreement, Beijing is. So you know what? There are tons of people out there.
Yeah, 10,000 I think they were.
And it's growing.
So.
And you know what? People want freedom.
They do.
People want freedom.
It's just natural. It's a natural thing to want to be free.
Yeah, so people are like, oh, why is the world exploding? It's because people want freedom and they're tired of dictators and being oppressed.
And it's kind of funny because the more monetary, I guess would be the word to use, that China becoming a world monetary leader and more westernized, so many of their people are saying, hey, wait a minute, we're tired of this being under the thumb of the Chinese theocracy anymore. We want freedom. So it's interesting how that anyway, that's what's going on in the nation and around the world. Now, as a form of, I'll tell you what, we got a call coming in. Let's go ahead and take that, and then I'll get started here.
Okay.
Top story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Kelly. I think I've heard that the taking that Guardian president and all the way to Secret Service and giving it to Homeland Security. And I think that Homeland Security is a big mess.
You know, that is absolutely true. They have put the Secret Service under the Department of Homeland Security, and it's, you know, it seems to coincide.
Is still the Secret Service.
But it seems to coincide that as they moved it over to the Department of Homeland Security, that things have kind of gone to pot. Although, and I don't know, maybe these things were going on before and you just never heard about it. Yeah. I don't know, but...
Well, they say there used to be pride among the Secret Servicemen. I mean, nothing on their watch, you know what I mean? And that's changed. And actually, you should read the book by Ron Kessler on the Secret Service. I read it. It was very interesting. I mean, these people have a lot of pride, but you don't know how much. I mean, you never heard of hookers back in the day, did you? Unless we just didn't have the media.
Well, that's just it.
Hookers have been around for the longest, oldest profession, so who knows? I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so there's an article that I ran across this morning. I forget how I ran across it, just doing research, and you run across all sorts of stuff. But this is actually a 2-year-old article. But as I read it, I was very surprised. And let me just tell you this. I have conservative leanings, therefore it seems like I align more with the Republican Party than the Democrat Party. I have never really professed to being anything. I'm kind of one of those independents, but I'm very conservative. But when I run across stuff that looks like it is good information for good thought-provoking information, I take it to heart. And I ran across this article this morning that I thought was very interesting. Now, I'm conservative in my monetary life, in my social life, but and it's not like I'm abandoning my conservative roots. But I do want to talk about this and just throw it out there and see what you think, because I understand that most of our audience is conservative.
I think your qualifications prior to this is longer than the article.
I just want to make sure here.
Just open your ears and listen, people.
This is called Want a Better Economy? History says vote Democrat. This is written by Adam Harting, who is a freelancer for Forbes.com. This is a 2-year-old article. It was posted 10/10 of 2012. Bear with me here as I make our way through this, but if you listen, I think you'll find it very interesting. There was a time before, and this is actually a report on a book that was out. It's not just him. There was a time before primaries when each party's platform was really important. Voters didn't pick a candidate, the party did. Then voters read what policies the party planned to implement should it control the executive branch and possibly a legislative majority. It was the policies that drew the most attention, not the candidates. Digging deeper today than shortened debate-level headlines, there is a considerable difference in the recommended economic policies of the two dominant parties. The common viewpoint is that Republicans are good for business, which is good for the economy. Republican policies and the more Adam Smith, invisible hand, limited regulation, laissez-faire, the better, are expected to create a robust, healthy, growing economy. Meanwhile, the common view of Democrat policies is that they too heavily favor regulation and higher taxes, which are economy killers. Well, for those who feel this way, it may be time to review the last 80 years of economic history. Bob Dietrich and Lou Goldfarb have done it in a great way, easy-to-read book called Bulls, Bears, and the Ballot Box.
Available at Amazon.com. Same with my cookbook.
Same with her cook. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Their heavily researched and footnoted text brings forth some serious inconsistency between the common viewpoint of America's dominant parties and the reality of how America has performed since the start of the Great Depression. Reason and facts are sacrificed to opinion and myth. Demonstrable falsehoods are circulated and recycled as fact. Narrow-minded opinion refuses to be subjected to thought and analysis. Too many now subject events to a prefabricated set of interpretations, usually provided by a biased media source. The myth is more comfortable than often difficult search for truth. Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan is attributed with saying everyone is entitled to his own opinion, but not his own facts.
That is so true.
So even though we may hold very strong opinions about parties and politics, it is worthwhile to look at historical facts. This book's authors are to be commended for spending several years and many thousands of student research assistant man-days sorting out economic performance from the common viewpoint and the broad theories upon which much policy has been based. Their compendium of economic facts is the most illuminating document on economic performance during different administrations and policies than anything previously published. The authors looked at a range of economic metrics, including inflation, unemployment, corporate profit growth, stock market performance, household income growth, economy, or the GDP growth, months in recession, and others. To their surprise, they discovered that laissez-faire policies, which is kind of a hands-off, the government hands-off type of policy, had far less benefits than expected, and in fact produced almost universal negative economic outcomes for the nation. From this book, loaded with statistical fact tidbits and comparative charts, here are just some that caused me to realize that my long-term love affair with Milton Friedman's writing and recommended policies in Free to Choose were grounded in a theory I long admired, but that simply have proven to be myths when applied. Personal disposable income has grown nearly 6 times more under Democratic presidents. Gross domestic product has grown 7 times more under Democratic presidents. Corporate profits have grown over 16% more per year under Democratic presidents. They actually declined under Republicans by an average of 4.53% per year. We're going to go into a break now, but I have 3 more points, and then we'll continue on with this very interesting article. Now, I'm just saying, these are just what they are saying. I'm going to throw it out there after a while. See what you think. This could be a communist conspiracy to get us to believe this kind of garbage. But I'm just throwing it out there. We'll be right back on Top Story. We're back. It is back to more here on Top Story at 736-0300. I want to finish this article. It's not all that lengthy now, about halfway through it. But it's some interesting stuff coming up.
Read on, my friend. Read on.
First, yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Hank Healing.
Hank Healing, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is video.
Video.
V-I-D-E-O, video. You have until midnight tonight to enter the word video at newsradio1310.com, and you could be a $100 instant winner. Yeah, we're getting calls already. I'm not going to take the calls yet because I'm going to finish the article, but if you have holes to shoot in this article, I will take them when I'm done here. So, but it's just, to me, the article was interesting.
Yeah.
Continuing on, average annual compound return on the stock market has been 18 times greater under Democratic presidents. In other words, if you invested $100,000 for 40 years of Republican administrations, you had $126,000 at the end. If you invested $100,000 for 40 years of Democrat administrations, you had $3.9 million at the end. Republican, and hey, I don't know enough to even question these.
Just keep reading.
Stop
qualifying it.
Republican presidents added 2.5 times more to the national debt than Democratic presidents. I don't know if this included Obama or not. It couldn't have. But at any rate, the 2 times the economy steered into the ditch, the Great Depression and the Great Recession, were during Republican laissez-faire administrations. Mm-hmm. The how and why of these results is explained in the book, not the least of which revolves around the velocity of money and how that changes as wealth moves between different economic classes. U.S. President Barack Obama gestures... Oh, I'm sorry. That's a headline under a picture. I should have erased that. That was under a picture. Okay. Moving on. The book is great at looking past today's economic myths by using long-forgotten facts to set the record straight. For example, in explaining President Reagan's great economic recovery of the 1980s, it is often attributed to the stimulative impact of major tax cuts, known as IRTA. But in reality, the 1981 tax cuts backfired, leading to massive deficits and a weaker economy with a double-dip recession as unemployment soared. So in 1982, Reagan signed TEFRA, the largest peacetime tax increase in the nation's history. In his tenure, Reagan signed 9 tax bills, 7 of which raised taxes. The authors do not come down on the side of any specific economic policy. Rather, they make a strong case that a prosperous economy occurs when a president is adaptable to the needs of the country at the time, adjusting to the results rather than staunchly sticking to economic theory. And that economic policy does not stand alone, but must be integrated into the needs of society. As Dwight Eisenhower said in a New Yorker interview, I despise people who go to the gutter on either the right or the left and hurl rocks at those in the center. The book covers only Presidents Hoover through W. Bush. But as we near this election, I asked Mr. Goldfarb his view in the incumbent Democrats' first 4 years. His response is, Obama at this time would rank on par with Reagan. Corporate profits have risen under Obama more than any other president. The stock market has soared 14.72% per year under Obama, second only to Clinton, which should be a big deal since 2/3 of the people, not just the upper class, have a 401k or similar investment vehicle dependent upon corporate profits and stock market performance. As to the challenging Republican Party's platform, Mr. Goldfarb commented, the platform is the inverse of what has actually worked to stimulate economic growth. The recommended platform tax policy is bad for velocity and will stagnate the economy. Repealing the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare will have a negative economic impact because it will force non-wealthy individuals to spend a higher percentage of income on health care rather than expansionary products and services. Economic disaster happens in America when wealth is concentrated at the top, and we are at an all-time high for wealth concentration. There is nothing in the platform which addresses the issue. There are a lot of reasons to select the party for which you wish to vote. There is more to America than the economy. But if you think like the Democrats did in 1992, and it's about the economy, then you owe it to yourself to read this book. It may challenge your conventional wisdom as it presents, like Joe Friday said, just the facts.
Just the facts.
So there you go. I thought that was a very interesting article. So you're welcome to call up and shoot holes in it. Call it a communist conspiracy.
Well, they've done a lot of research.
Man, that's the way it should be. The research that went into this
facts are facts.
is kind of borderline indisputable. I mean, they went back 80 years and looked at this stuff. So tell you what, we're going to take a break.
So you can all calm down, stop frothing, and compose yourself and call it the next break.
And we'll be
time.
right back on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call. 7360300 is the number to call this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. Wanted to tell you a little bit about Clearwater Power Equipment. You've heard about their Husqvarna line of outdoor products, their Echo line. Well, we're getting into fall.
We are.
And two things come to mind: chainsaws and leaf blowers. And they've got them both.
And squash soup
from
for me.
Echo. Yeah, you really, because I have actually seen people coming back now from the hills with trailers and trucks load of firewood and stuff. Hey, it's time to think about that. What better way to attack that firewood project than with an Echo chainsaw from Clearwater Power Equipment? They have the sales, they have the service, they can do everything. They have the parts. Try buying one of these box stores and then going back later and say, I need a part for da-da-da-da. And they're going to look at you like you got two heads.
I know.
And they're going, we might be able to get that online, and you'll be able to maybe order it, and maybe 2.5 weeks later it'll come in. It'll be the wrong. Don't worry about all that. Just go to Clearwater Power Equipment. They got the parts. They got the service. They got the sales. And they got the leaf blowers. I mean, with what happens is, there are not many leaves on the ground one day, and then you wake up, and the next morning it's like the leaves are 1.5 feet thick on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
An Echo leaf blower would be just what you need from Clearwater Power Equipment. They're at 252 Washington Street, or you can give them a call at 734-7767. All right, so I just spent the last 20 minutes reading this article about how it's been the Democratic administrations that have really been great for the U.S. economy. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of people might have some other things to say about that. This is just throwing it out there from this book that had done 80 years of
and if you want to see a current fact, go check out what's happening in Kansas with his experiments of the exact one. Lower taxes, cutting this, cutting that, and now they are in a huge, huge hole.
So let's see what you got to say. 7360300 is the number. Top Story, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, like you, Kelly, I will say that I tend to be conservative in my life, but I am not Republican nor Democrat. I vote for the candidate that I think will do the best job according to my beliefs.
Exactly.
However, on this issue of the economy, I will accept the fact that there is the possibility that Democrats do improve the economy when they're in office. But my question would be, and I would have to look into further, is at what cost? It said that the economy would take a downturn if we were to repeal Obamacare. That's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But my freedom is not for sale at any price. I would rather be poor and free to make my own choices in life than to be wealthier but have the government dictate whether or not I have to buy insurance, what kind I have to buy, what jobs I can have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
Do you have insurance now?
I do not.
Well, I can't even imagine that.
I can't afford the insurance. I'm a single mom with 2 kids.
Have you checked on the website?
Yes. I make too much money to qualify for any government help, which, well, I take that back. I do make little enough to qualify for food stamps, but I refuse to accept them because I provide for my family.
Well, you know what?
And
Governor
when
Otter
I go to the doctor, I pay cash for it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad nothing serious has happened to you. But Governor Otter, if he expanded Medicaid, you'd be eligible for health insurance, and nothing is wrong with that. You're protecting yourself and your kids.
I already lost our doctor. He left our town because of the whole issues with the Obamacare.
Wow.
So we have to find a new doctor.
Well, you know what? I think there's a lot of myths out there about Obamacare, and it doesn't control you. It's not Medicare.
I don't want to get on a discussion on Obamacare right now, but she brings up a good point. Is our freedom for sale through a government that wants to take care of us.
I don't understand that because it's not a government program. It's not Medicare. And people, you can choose your own insurance. You can choose from different plans. So I'm not sure what she's referring to.
So back to the original thing here with this article, that the economy does better under Democratic administration. 736-0300 is the number to call. And top story, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, I think I got the wrong number. I was calling that my name was announced.
Oh, are you Hank?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
Did you play the word? Did you play the word of the day yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that's too bad, because if you had, then you would have had $100.
Well,
Hank.
doggone it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I tell you what, there's always another time. So
hey, I appreciate it. I didn't know the word of the day, so.
Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We do appreciate that, and hey, maybe next time. So check out our website, newsradio1310.com, and thanks for the call.
Poor Hank.
You had the right number, so no problem there. All right, we'll be right back. Got another break here on Top Story. We'll take more calls. Yes, the phones are running over with love. 736-0300 is the number to call. The book entitled Bulls, Bears, and the Ballot Box says over the last 80 years, the American economy has done better under a Democratic administration than it has under a Republican administration. Mm-hmm. It gave several reasons. And
I've been
now
saying
we're
that
taking,
for about almost 6 years.
Well,
no one
I know
listens
you have,
to me.
but who are you for
But what are the facts? The facts are facts.
Hey, you know
facts
what?
Are facts.
And facts can be skimmied, too.
Oh, can they? I don't not
anyway,
if they're facts.
We're just seeing what the people have to say about that. 736-0300, top story. You are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Kelly, I think your book failed to mention wars. I think the Democrats have started all the wars but one, and there's always prosperity under wartime.
Oh,
started all the wars that won.
Well,
I guess George Bush's 2 wars didn't win.
There you go. He's talking about World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War.
We won the Vietnam War?
No, he's not saying we won them. He said, but the economy does prosper normally under a wartime economy.
Well, I'm sorry. George Bush had 2 wars. His economy didn't prosper, did it?
736-0300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. As you can imagine, I have a couple things.
Just only a couple? I'm impressed.
Jill said it best. Facts are facts, and if we can just look at the states that are prospering right now, none of them are under Democratic leadership. The president is Democrat, but let's look at Chicago, let's look at Detroit, let's look at, I believe it's Los Angeles. I don't think any of those cities that have been run for several years, possibly 80, by Democratic control, are prospering.
Well, look at Kansas right now.
Your facts are facts, Jill.
But look at Kansas right now. That is Brownback and all of the things that he's talked about, lowering taxes for the wealthy, cutting school funding, cutting this, cutting that. Go look at what's happening in Kansas right now. He might actually lose that governorship, which it looks like he might, not to mention the Senate. But facts are facts. Governor Christie, his state they've lost their credit rating. It's been downgraded 7 times since he's been there. Start looking at the facts of those states. Get behind those numbers. In Ohio,
but ideologically, he has an R behind his name, but he's not a Republican, I don't think. Chris Christie.
He's. Are you kidding me? He was going to be. They think he's going to be the Republican candidate.
I hear you.
For president.
I'm just saying.
You're
but
saying
he's one of those Eastern Republicans.
Look at his policies. Are you kidding me?
Many of our Democrats are more conservative than the Eastern Republicans.
Okay, so let's just disqualify but look at his state. Facts are facts. Start doing some homework.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air. What do you think?
Well, I could talk for hours about this subject, but I'll try not to.
Good, we'll be off the air soon.
When I look at Chris Christie, he's not a conservative. He may be a Republican, but he is not a conservative, first of all.
Yeah.
But I look at this and I say, every time that Republicans, Democrats seem to screw everything up, and they ride on the shoulders of what the Republicans, or I should say the conservatives, whenever the conservatives do something right, they try to get the government in order, and there's a lag time, and the economy comes on strong during. And it always seems that you trade off presidencies. You go from Republican to a Democrat and back to a Republican, and it seems like the cycles are always the Republicans fix things, and then the Democrats seem to reap the benefits of it.
And then they blame the Republicans and they fail.
What did George Bush fix? If you can't see that his presidency went off the deep end.
George Bush was not a conservative, okay?
Not a conservative?
No,
okay.
not a fiscal.
Who was a conservative Republican that was in office? Actually, he wasn't.
Well, I think, yes, he was.
He raised taxes 7 times.
Yes, in his second term, when he had Democrats in both houses, he raised taxes because he didn't have much choice in the matter. But before that, when we had more control, he fixed things. He made things right, and the economy prospered as a result.
Actually, when he was in control, his deficits were huge. He raised taxes. He had amnesty. He was pro-choice. He was not a conservative. He wouldn't even hit the Republican Party today. I'm sorry, he'd be a Democrat today.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air.
Kelly.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to tell you how proud I am of this lady that called. I had the 2 kids.
Absolutely, yes.
Not on food stamps. She's holding her head up high. She's taking care of her family. She's not going on this disgusting government system that so many people are on. And I just want to tell her to hang in there, and we're all proud of her.
Absolutely. Thanks for the call. Appreciate that.
I have to say, not getting health insurance if you could, and frankly, she obviously doesn't.
Paying her bills, paying her doctor bills.
Well, thank goodness her kids aren't seriously hurt, or she's not in an accident, and it has nothing to pride. And if you talk about government assistance, we have farm subsidies out here. No one talks about that. We have corporate tax cuts. Those are subsidies. I mean, come on, don't say, oh, just because you need food stamps because your employer isn't paying you enough that they're a hero. Come on. What's wrong with those things?
If you want to read that book, it's Bulls and Bears and the Ballot Box, and it's on Forbes.com. It's time now for the Huckabee Report. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed, Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors. The number is 736-6563. I haven't talked to you yet about Canyon Pawn.
No.
The newest pawn shop in Twin Falls. They've got nice, clean, friendly environment. They're locally owned. They have brand new items. They have used items. They have camping equipment. They have woodworking equipment. They have fishing poles and tools and all the stuff you would expect to see in a pawn shop. Some of it is still new and in boxes. They also have a big selection of guns. And the hunting seasons are in full swing right now. All sorts of hunting seasons underway. More to come up. We'll be opening up pheasant season here soon. So if you need a rifle, you need a shotgun, you need a pistol, whatever, they've got guns at Canyon Pawn. So check it out. They're right across from Will's Toyota on Shoshone Street. It's the little store on the corner with a big sign out front that says Canyon Pawn. You can't miss it.
No, you can't.
So
there's a huge sign.
Stop by and say hi and tell them that Kelly and Jill sent you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've got something coming up this weekend. It's called Bras Across the Canyon. This is a part of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, helping provide breast health services to those who have no medical insurance or might not have enough insurance. And 100% of your donations to this go to the Wellness Tree Community Clinic, who we will be talking to.
I believe it's
tomorrow. Yes. So it's coming up from noon until 2 o'clock at the Perrine Bridge this Saturday, sponsored by Arlo G. Lott Trucking, also the South Central Public Health District, also Glenbia, also Chick-fil-A. Everybody in the world is going to be there with their bras and waving them as we cross the bridge in one direction. We go over to the other side and cross the bridge coming back. So
you're going to have to get a bra.
I don't know.
You should get a bra and have Connie decorate it.
I'm going to take my camera instead and take pictures for promotional purposes.
A bra.
I don't think so.
Come on.
I don't think so.
Come on.
But anyway, that's what it's all about. Bring your bras, decorate them while you're there, decorate them before you get there. It's a lot of fun, but it's also for a very serious project for breast cancer awareness. So we will see you at the Perrine Bridge at noon on Saturday. And it's supposed to be fairly decent weather, too. It's supposed to be like in the mid-70s that day.
I don't know. I know it's our holiest of holidays, and I will not be there.
That's right.
Starts Friday night, Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur. Okay.
Day of Atonement. Starts Friday
night.
We
won't see you there, but we'll see everybody else there.
Yeah, that's right. You'll be there.
Yeah.
With a bra on.
Yeah, no, I don't.
If I have anything to do with it.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.